Okay, so there's a problem with the Wi-Fi. I am starting over. I think that you can hear me now. And also I think the Wi-Fi is working. So I am in Barcelona, Spain. And finally, we're trying to live broadcast from here because next week I will be in Istanbul broadcasting with Dr. Stephen Krashen, Darcy Pippins, and Linda Lee. This summer we're going to be in El Paso, Texas, in Garland, Texas, at the National TPR Storytelling Conference, at the International Forum on Language Teaching, at the Agent Workshop, and also before IFLT, there's a pre-conference in language classes, and it is, there's beginning Mandarin, beginning Spanish, and advanced French. The idea behind advanced Spanish and advanced French is that we will be those people who are trying to improve their own Spanish and French and are teaching languages, that they will be able to, that they'll be able to improve their own language skills. That was the plan, and so I hope you'll join us for that. I'm getting a signal that my connection is weak. So if you were there, would you leave me a comment? Let me know that it's working, that the sound is working, that the video is working, and then we will start. I will answer questions if you have any about TPR storytelling, what you're doing in your classroom, any ideas for how to prepare over the summer for next year, and looking forward to hearing from you. If you don't have comments or questions, then I'm just gonna sit here talking to myself for a really long time. Maybe not that long a time. That beach is very enticing and there's still sun out. So hopefully the sound is still working. Those of you who were here before and the sound wasn't working, I hope it's coming back. I'm as close to the modem as I can get, so I think this is the strongest signal that I can get from here. So if this works and people are able to comment and we're able to start live streaming, then we'll be able to do it from Istanbul, and you can ask next week Darcy Pippins, Linda Lee, and Dr. Stephen Krashen any questions you like. I'm going to hijack their time for a few minutes and ask them to answer some questions. So I should be able to see comments here. If you're there, will you just let me know that you've joined the live stream and tell me what you want to talk about today. I went today to La Sagrada Familia and I posted a video of walking around the outside of La Sagrada Familia, still under construction, and also was able to walk around and see Arc de Triomphe, but in Barcelona, not in France. And rented bikes. I know there are several foreign language teachers, Spanish teachers, who are coming to Barcelona this month and going to bring students. I have lots of little pieces of advice about the exchange rate and the metro and the best way to get around. There's some bike rental places, and that was a fun way to get around this week, to be able to see more from a bike. Depends on where you're staying, though. Some of you have been here before, so you already know that. But I also found a great place for tapas. There's a whole street full of, they don't call them tapas, they call them pincho. And it's tapa with a palo in it, a palillo, a little stick. And you everyone has bread on the bottom of it, and then you put a stick in it. And at the end, when you're done, you pick whatever you want. And when you're done, they count the sticks, and you get charged a euro for every stick. And so they don't care what you got. They just they count up all the dirty sticks at the end, and that's what you get charged. So it's really interesting. Apparently that comes from the Basque region. And tapas are different in different parts of Spain, but the Basque region, that influence has the stick in it. Okay, I don't see any comments, so I don't know if this is broadcasting and this is working, and really my only intention at this point is to make sure that next week, when we have really interesting people who can answer questions, Darcy Pippins is the Oklahoma Teacher of the Year. Everyone knows Linda Lee, that amazing Mandarin teacher from Fluency Fast and from the National TPRS Conference, and also from IFLT. and Dr. Krashen, who is speaking this week on several really new topics, which I think will be fascinating. So I'd love to share that with you and let you ask questions. If anybody wants to try live stream, I finally did figure out how to get it done. You need a strong internet connection, and that has been the problem here in Barcelona, is that it's real hard to get internet. It's real hard to find internet that works, that will keep working while you're broadcasting. And live stream requires a really strong internet connection. But also, I figured out that some Facebook accounts have it. Facebook rolled it out first, only for celebrities, and then us regular people can use it. Now only if we have the right software. So it's been rolled out for the iPhone first, and then everything else is coming a little bit at a time. So anyway, I figured out how to do it. If you would like to find out, I'd be happy to share. So questions. Is anybody working on any projects right now? I woke up this morning thinking about how many more books we need and how I want to be able to do this. We have 2 sessions this summer. One is at the National TPR Storytelling Conference, and the other is at IFLT on how to write a novel. And there's a Facebook page on how to write a novel. I don't know a lot about that. I just know what worked for me. But we're trying to get more books. There's such a need for books in lots of different languages, and whatever you write can be. Hola, Toño. Whatever you write can be translated into different languages. So if you, now I see what that number is. These are the people who are here. So I can tell who's following and who's listening to me. So according to Facebook, you are supposed to just keep talking for as long as possible. And then people start finding and realizing that you're online. So if you're a TPRS teacher and you have a question, any of you who are out there listening and have found this broadcast after I tried 5 times to get online and make it work, ask a question, ask anything. So about the novel, there's a novel, how to write a novel webinar that I did a couple of years ago, but it was just on the basics of what we've been doing to select the vocabulary and what we use to get the highest frequency vocabulary, and then kind of how to start and how to get ideas and how to start writing. And so if anyone is interested in how to write a novel, I hope you'll at least join that Facebook page and start getting some ideas moving. I think it helps to have a little bit of support system, people knowing that you're interested in writing, and then you can kind of set a goal and start sitting down to write. I think that's the most important part, is just that you actually start writing. And then, my connection is weak again. Let me get closer. Hopefully that'll come back together. The internet's just not very strong here. It's fun to be able to broadcast from different places, but but it's hard to get a connection that's strong enough. So that's one, and then the other one's Reader's Theater. I'm doing Reader's Theater this summer too. And it's so exciting to me that after presenting on Reader's Theater several times at NTPRS and at IFLT and in Turkey, that there are other people who are starting to do it. And so in Turkey, when we go this next week, there's someone else who's presenting, someone from Turkey who wants to present on what they've been doing in their own class with Reader's Theater. And so it's exciting to see more people do it. I'm certainly not the creator, inventor of Reader's Theater, but I really, really like it, and so it's fun for me to see other people doing it. Let me see what else. So personalization. I haven't done a personalization webinar yet. There are a lot of projects I haven't finished yet that I've started and haven't finished. I think I need to just gather a team of people who are better at getting things done. If anybody wants to join that team, you're more than welcome to. I am working on a personalization. I have a personalization workshop and a book that's I didn't finish, and so it's in draft form. I didn't finish it because I was working on the chapter for Fluency Through TPR Storytelling with Conti Seeley, written by Blaine Ray, and that book has a chapter on personalization now. So, the workshop's done, and I would love to see the same thing that's happened with coaching, is to have more people who are able to do personalization workshops. I think that would be great to have more people who are who feel like they're so strong at using personalization in their classes that they really want to present themselves. So every year I have to kind of decide what I want to present on and what's most interesting to me, and the thing I get asked to do the most is adapting the textbook to TPR storytelling, which I would really love to see someone else do, because I don't really like doing it. I'm happy to help, but it's not interesting to me. What I really like doing is personalization. That sort of lights me up, and I like doing each summer the things that really make me excited about like what I can present on. So I hope to see you all in the conferences this summer. So let me go over them again, because if there aren't people who are asking questions live, then this will be watched later because it'll be on my page. So here's what's happening. The El Paso conference is a 2-day conference, and it's on June 22nd and 23rd. June 22nd, Dr. Stephen Krashen and I and Linda Lee will be presenting, and on the second day, Jason Fritz will be coming to do elementary. That's in El Paso, Texas. That's our next conference. And then after that, Chattanooga, Tennessee, we have the July 16th, 17th, and 18th. We have 4 language classes. Beginning Spanish, I'm teaching that. Beginning Mandarin with Linda Lee. Advanced French with Sabrina. And advanced Spanish with Jason Fritz. So if you are a language teacher who wants to get better at Spanish or French, if you're teaching level 2, level 3, and want to really be able to teach AP advanced levels, that's really what the intention of the class is for non-native language teachers. And then the beginning classes are for people who want to be able to experience learning a language the way that your students do. And so we'd love to have you there for that too. That's at the Reed House Hotel in Chattanooga, and so that's on the website, fluencyfast.com. And then that's July. Then IFLT is right after that, International Forum on Language Teaching, and I think the beginning track is full at this point, but there's room in advanced, and I'd still highly recommend that you go. That you can find that on tprstorytelling.com, and then click on conference. And then after that, we're going directly to the National TPR Storytelling Conference, which is in Reno, Nevada this year, with Blaine Ray and a lot of other great presenters. Several of the same presenters. Jason Fritz and I will be there, but Dr. Krashen and Linda Lee are going to go to the Agen workshop in Agen, France, with Judy Dubois. And that's going to be a great conference. I've heard that Ben Slavic is going to be there too. So then in August, there's a 2-day workshop in Garland, Texas. And Linda Lee will have already left the country, but Jason Fritz and Dr. Krashen and I are going to work with Hayu Liu in Garland and do that same workshop where we do Fluency Fast classes in Mandarin and Spanish, and then a workshop, and then Dr. Krashen speaks on language acquisition theory. And so that's where you can see us this summer if you're looking for training or if you're looking for language classes. I forgot, there's also an advanced Spanish class in Denver in July 11, 12, 13. It was a 3-day class, so July 11, 12, and 13. So that's what's going on, and like I I said, there are some webinars, and if you're things that you're looking to get better at, I'm hopeful that we'll get more people who want to write novels this summer. That is my goal. My goal 12 years ago was for there to be more coaches of TPR storytelling, and that has happened. So I'm really excited about all the people who know how to coach now and are great coaches now. They coach with IFLT, they coach with NTPRS. It's there are just a lot of people who are really good at it, and you can get great coaching now from those conferences and from coaching groups from state to state. If we can get more people who can do personalization workshops and who are writing their own readers, we're going to have more to be able to offer. So I hope that more people will join that and want to participate. Maybe you've got a book inside of you. So there's a book page that it's my name, Karen Rowan's How to Write a CI Novel, I think is what the Facebook page is called. And so if you're interested and you think maybe you just want some information about how to write or how to get started or any kind of the basic questions, but mostly it's people who feel like they have an idea for a book and want a little encouragement to get started on writing. So, and that's, I think, the hardest part. So if there aren't people who are asking questions and commenting right now, then that will I guess how this works is people see it later, and so I'd like you to maybe go underneath here if you see this later and leave a question. If you want to ask a question about TPR storytelling, about just anything that's come up on the IFLT and TPRS CI teaching page, you can ask them. You can ask them there. There are so many strong teachers on that page now. I think there are about 2,000 members and so good at answering questions. If you're not already on that page, if you're a TPRS teacher, a CI teacher, and you're not already on the Facebook page, it's IFLT and TPRS CI teaching. And just go join the page and lurk for a little while, but if you have any questions, lots of people will answer them. Also, if you're a teacher, if you're a language teacher, you should be a member of the International Journal of Foreign Language Teaching, and that's IJFLT.org. And go read the articles. Another one just came out in May. I would also recommend some other things, but Tea with VBT is off for the summer, so we'll talk about it later when they come back. That's been a good resource for language teachers. And if there's anything else that you'd like this summer at any of those conferences, if there's things they're interested in that you feel like you haven't gotten enough training on and you'd like to ask some questions, then please go ahead and ask. Go ahead and let me know what you need. I'm available all summer. I am available at NTPRS and IFLT if anyone needs to ask any kind of individual questions, and I can certainly tailor my presentations around that too. Jessica Ann, I will be on maternity leave at the beginning of the school year. Any advice or resource I can use for my sub? I've seen a lot of people who have great sub plans, and the good place to ask that question is on that Facebook page. It's the IFLT, NTPRS, CI teaching, and I've seen a lot of really good sub plans go by. It sounds like you'll be gone for a while, and it depends on whether or not you have a Spanish-speaking sub too. If you don't have a Spanish-speaking sub, that's a lot. I just assumed you teach Spanish. What language do you teach? Whatever language you teach, if the sub does not speak that language, then I would really work on instituting a reading program. So if you can do more free volunteer reading, they'll get a lot while you're gone. Not as much as they would if you were there. Part of the thing about subs, if you're talking about a one-day sub, is that we really know what Spanish. Hi, thank you. We really know what we're doing, and when we think that someone else can stand in for us and be able to teach for us, that really we're not giving ourselves enough credit. So a Spanish-speaking sub is better. A Spanish-speaking sub with some kind of training is even better, but that's not always realistic. So that IFLT page, I've seen several different people posting about about subplants, and so I think that's probably your best resource. Does that answer your question at all, or had you already seen those things? You have an individual workshop right now, Jessica. What other questions can I answer for you? Sure. I want to say it's Martina Beck's, but I'm not positive. I do know that if you look for that on the IFLT page, you'll find it. IFLT and TPRS CI Teaching Facebook page. I've seen it go by several times. Anybody else have any questions? Oh, great. Congratulations, by the way. So the personalization, the book is, like I said, not done. I stopped working on it because I started writing the personalization chapter for Fluency through TPR Storytelling. Since that's been published already, I don't really have any excuses. I just haven't finished it. There's several projects that I haven't finished and I would love some help with. The Isabella Teacher's Guide, the Don Quixote Teacher's Guide, the personalization book, and I have 2 new readers that are not finished yet. So, and also I'd love to help other people write their own readers, anyone who has their own idea for a story. I have a Facebook page that's just people who want to learn how to write a CI novel. I'm not actually teaching it, it's just all of us sort of brainstorming together ideas and inspiration to start writing. So I think I've gone through all the things that are happening this summer, and I want to let you know to watch this page because we're going to do this again in I'm in Barcelona. We're going to do this again in Istanbul next week. And if you ask questions here in the comments between now and then, we'll be able to broadcast from there and answer those questions. So Dr. Krashen will be with us. Darcy Pippins, who is now the Oklahoma Teacher of the Year and the Southwest Colt Teacher of the Year. She also has an article in IJFLT right now, ijflt.org, published about her AP scores. And then Linda Lee, who is an amazing Mandarin teacher. So if you have questions about what to do over the summer to prepare for next year, backward planning, or anything like that, anything really at all that has to do with TPR storytelling, CI teaching that we can help with. And then if you have any questions about how to set up live stream, now that it took me several days to figure it out, but now that I figured it out, feel free to ask questions here too. I'll do what I can to help you get started. There are some pages that don't have it yet, that don't have live stream. So if you have the ability, you have to go through some steps to be able to get yourself the button on your page. All right. I think I am going to use up the rest of the beach time, and thanks for joining me, all of you, and anyone who watches this later. Know that this was just a dry run now that we've got the software all installed, and that this week we'll be doing this again in Istanbul, and really look forward to seeing you all. I think we're gonna get some really good discussion going and questions answered now when we have all those experts on the same live stream at the same time. All right, so have a great weekend, and we start in Istanbul on Tuesday, so I'd say Wednesday or Thursday we'll probably Tuesday or Wednesday. Tuesday or Wednesday we'll broadcast from Istanbul, and we'll try and do it in what would be the middle of the day, because that will be our evening. It's have fun in the sun. Hi, Jason. I already am. I just wanted to take a break and do some TPR storytelling questions and answers. So if you have any questions before I go, feel free to ask them. I am going to be back next week with Dr. Krashen, Darcy Pippins, and Linda Lee, and we'll answer any questions about language teaching. Maggie and Barb have just joined. Margaret, you're going to be a Spanish teacher. If you have any questions about how to get started teaching languages, I would love to help you. 2 more weeks of school. Maybe we shouldn't do it in the evening and make it during the day in the United States. I don't know what the alternative would be, though, because we work all day. We're presenting from first thing in the morning until about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So we can probably do it in our evening, which would be late morning. Sorry, Jason. Hi, Tony. Jason in New York. Okay, so we're going to be 9 hours ahead of Colorado, so 7 hours ahead of New York. Yeah, maybe I'll catch you a lunch break. And yes, you can watch it later. You just won't be able to ask questions. However, if you ask questions now, we can answer them. We can start with whatever questions are here in the comments now. So happy to answer anything, but no one's asking anything. So if you have anything else if you want me to talk about, then I'm happy to still address it. We've talked about reader's theater and personalization a little bit, and how to do sub-plans during maternity leave. You have any questions, Jason? Or Margaret, who's about to become a Spanish teacher? What can I tell you about the Fluency Fast classes in Tennessee before IFLT? They are going to be held at the Reed House Hotel, which is where people are staying during IFLT, but IFLT will be at a nearby school. So the shuttle will leave from the Reed House. So it's the same place, the Reed House Hotel in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Great, you're doing the French class with Sabrina. You must be a French teacher, Jason, because it's an advanced French class. Sabrina's amazing. I can attest to this. I posted a few videos, but I live in Denver, Colorado, and Sabrina also is living in Denver, and she's been teaching a class in Boulder, Colorado, and I took her class to see how she teaches and to try and learn a little bit of French myself, but I just am not willing to learn French unless it's through TPRS. So anyway, I can really tell you that she's very good. She really models how to teach well at every level. I took a French 3 class, which my French is French 1, if anything. I mean, it's very, very limited. But I took a French 3 class from her because that was what was available, and I was willing to be uncomfortable in the class. So I didn't talk at all. I just listened, and I really acquired a lot of French just from that. And then after that, I took beginning. I took French 1, and it was fantastic. She's very, very good. You will not be disappointed. Let's see. Margaret, I can't even tell you what I like about TPRS. It's everything. If you have ever been in a class where you've been instructed in basic grammar and learning about the language, that's not what TPRS is. It's storytelling. It's putting it in context so that you're hearing stories in the language. Everything's in the language. So that works really well for beginning levels, but it really works up to advanced levels. You're talking about comparing that to teaching literature. It's not that teaching literature is bad. It's that teaching literature is after. So Spanish literature it's input, which is what we want. Input in reading, input in what we hear. But a lot of times that literature is too difficult. It's too difficult because it's not comprehensible. So if we can back that down and take the vocabulary out of the reading and pre-teach the vocabulary so that it becomes comprehensible, and then read the literature, then you've got 2 different sources of input. And that's what we're doing with TPR storytelling, is trying to get enough basic vocabulary through TPR storytelling that then they're able to understand literature. So you might see a class using something like Goosebumps, Escalofríos, instead of Gabriel Garcia Marquez, because it's inaccessible when it's incomprehensible. And the same thing is true of us as language teachers. When we're trying to read literature, a lot of times we go and we sit and read, we read something, and it's hard work, and we don't read as much. It would be better to read more at a lower level than to read a lot at a high level. or sorry, that's wrong. To read a little bit at a high level. It'd be better to read less or more, but it'll at a lower level. So escalofrios, that kind of level of language. You can read fast. It's junk reading. Basically whatever is interesting to you. So that's what we do, is we try and get our students reading a ton. Maggie, I hope that answers Margaret, I hope that answers your question. Jason, struggling to apply it to more advanced stuff. I think Sabrina's class is going to be perfect for that. It's hard to imagine how you would take TPRS and apply it to a higher level class unless you have you've seen it applied at advanced levels. That's why I love Jason Fritz's classes so much, is because he really shows you how to do TPR storytelling at a high level. Lots of repetitions of more complex structures and sentence structures. Sabrina last year at FLT, yes she is, she's fantastic. TPRS is life. It kind of is, because if you're really in the flow when you're teaching, then it's just, it's like life. It's being in the flow in life. I struggle with gaining traction since we only meet once per week. Oh, yeah, that's difficult. I have a class like that, an advanced class. I think it helps to get something going outside of class that they can do, also input, but that you can kind of be able to keep them exposed and keep them interested. I'm not sure what level you're talking about. Oh, sorry. Second year of K through 4 Spanish. If you can do, maybe by 4th grade they can read, and you can give them really simple things to read at home. That's a possibility. And then maybe in doing all of it over and over and over again, it's the repetition. One of the great places to get ideas for K through 4 this summer at the National TPRS Conference and also at IFLT, Jason Fritz is teaching the elementary workshop. I'd highly recommend that. He's also doing the same thing in El Paso, Texas with us in June, and in Garland, Texas in August. So if you're looking to try and get a little bit of extra training on elementary, I think he's wonderful. He has great ideas. Margaret, arguments against TPRS because of its lack of authenticity. The culture is just not there because it is Spanish for English speakers, written by English speakers. You're talking to people who don't know what TPRS is. So we're teaching language. So what you talk about is irrelevant. You can talk about anything you want to. So you can talk about culture in the language. The key is input. That we don't need our students to be talking all the time. They don't know the language yet. They need the input. They need to be able to speak. They need to be able to hear the language before they start speaking it. And that's the problem with a lot of language classes. So in terms of authenticity and culture, so talk about culture using TPR storytelling. There are a lot of people who do that, and there have been articles written on it, and there are people who that's all they do, is they teach culture through the language. It's Spanish for English speakers, written by English speakers. Okay, so when you're talking about literature, it's incomprehensible. Authentic literature is incomprehensible. So if you have a native speaker or a non-native speaker who writes something more simple that gives you more input prior to reading the authentic literature, that's our goal. We want it to be comprehensible. We're not concerned about what you're talking about, not culturally accurate or whatever. That's not the biggest concern. The biggest concern is that somewhere around 96% of the people who study languages do not become fluent in the language. And I'm talking about traditional, studying it in high school, trying to take the AP exam. Most people take 1 year of Spanish, 2 years of Spanish, 1 year of French, 2 years of French, and they don't continue in the language beyond that, and so they never become fluent. People like you who finished in high school and continued on to college to study Spanish, you are in the minority. And so when you walk into a classroom and you think, wow, this is what I experienced and I loved it, my students will love it too, only about 4 or 5% of them are going to feel the same way. They're not as interested in languages, and so we want to hook them. We want to get them to feel successful, because like Susan Gross says, nothing motivates like success. So if you feel good about it, if you feel like you can do it, then you're more likely to continue. And our goal is to get them to continue the way that you did. I see where you're coming from. Other literature offers a more authentic Spanish experience. I would challenge you, Margaret, to expose yourself to people who have done this, who are actually TPRS teachers, CI teachers, who can see the difference. Most people who are teaching this way used to teach the way that you're talking about, and so that literature is accessible to a very, very small number of people, and we can't afford that anymore. We can't afford to have very, very few people actually bilingual, able to be fluent by the time they finish high school or college. It's just not working. Everybody needs to be bilingual. It's just crucial to communicate, worldwide communication. It's crucial to business. The stakes are higher, and maybe they've always been high, but we need to be more successful at it. So, Margaret, anything you want to go to, pick any workshop you want to go to, and I'll make sure you can get to it. And particularly if you want to come to a Fluency Fast class and feel it and see the difference. You're not going to start off teaching advanced levels. You're going to start off teaching beginning. You're going to start off teaching the 200 highest frequency words in the language, and you want that level of language for communication. Okay, my students loved when I implemented storytelling during fourth quarter. They used, this is Tony. And Jason says Spanish doesn't just belong to native speakers. Esperanza the novel is highly authentic to many people's real lives. They used to say recently, it's just a few years ago, maybe 7 years ago, 8 years ago, that the U.S. was the third largest Spanish-speaking country in the world, and now it's the second. So the ability to speak language is mostly about communication now. It's not. There are very few people who need Spanish at the level of high-level literature. What they need is the ability to be able to communicate and to be able to be fluent in a way that allows them to do what they need to do, to operate in business, to communicate with all of these people who speak Spanish here. Okay, my students loved when I implemented storytelling during fourth quarter. They used gainful vocab to joke around with each other. Me, oh my gosh, kindergarten through fourth grade, that's great. That's right? Or wait, did I mix up Tony? Nope, I didn't. Okay, Margaret, in my student teaching next semester, my mentor teacher is a native speaker and teaches classes for native speakers. Can you give me any advice how to approach these classes as a non-native? Wow, that is a really difficult job to teach native speakers when you are not a native speaker, particularly in your first year. My advice to you as a student teacher is to do what your mentor teacher says. And it's not your classroom, it's her classroom, and that you can do what you want to do later, and definitely go get as much training as you can in what has been shown to work. But when you're dealing with native speakers, you want to talk about reading. It's not just about reading, it's about getting them to love reading. So if reading is a chore, if reading is difficult, they are never going to read again. They're going to be the kind of students who read in high school because they were forced to, and then that's it. But in order to be really a literate person in two languages, you have to love reading. You have to be the kind of person who doesn't turn the light off at night and has a reading light on and just keeps reading. You have to be the kind of person who has a book with you all the time. So if you have a spare minute, you want to read. That's the kind of passion in reading that we're looking for. So of all of the technique books that you might read on how to teach reading, I would go look up a TED Talk by Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi. And that guy wrote a book called Flow. That book is about how our brains get into a place where we're in a place of pleasure, and once we're in that place of pleasure, we want to continue. We want to continue that feeling, and one of the ways to do that is reading. And so if you can get your students to really enjoy it, they're going to become readers. And so instead of thinking that your goal, your job is to teach them the content of a book, think that your job is to teach them how to love reading so much that they become readers. Are there any other questions? I don't think I missed any. I think I answered everything that's been posted here. If anybody has any more, I'll keep talking though. Margaret, I agree with attending a conference or workshop. Yes. But Margaret, I would love for you to come to a workshop, but still do what your mentor teacher says. You're in a unique position that you're teaching native speakers, and you have a native speaker as a teacher. She's going to focus a lot on your level of Spanish and on helping you to be able to teach those native speakers. And so that's a different skill set, is that you're more in the area of what's called sheltered subject matter teaching. You're teaching content in Spanish instead of teaching basic vocabulary. That's usually how those classes work. The video quality is not great. It's going in and out, mostly no sound. Okay. I don't know if it's your Wi-Fi signal or mine. I am getting a signal every once in a while that the signal is weak. So it's possible that it just wasn't strong the whole way along. Hopefully it all recorded. Is anyone else having any trouble with that the signal is going in and out? I think we actually might have a stronger signal in Istanbul than I have here. I'm using a restaurant's Wi-Fi on the beach. Anybody else? All right, so if you have any other questions, or if you watch this later and you have questions and that you can think of that you would like to ask me, or you wish had been asked here, or that you would like to ask Dr. Krashen, or that you would like to ask Darcy Pippins, or that you would like to ask Linda Lee, leave them here so that we can start with your questions when we do the next live broadcast, which will be this week. I start on Monday in Istanbul, and we'll be doing a full day of coaching with Shule, if you remember her from a couple years ago back in TPRS and IFLT and Fluency Fast. And then on Tuesday, everyone else arrives, and we'll be doing Mandarin and English classes for teachers of Turkish, and then doing a workshop on CI methods, and Dr. Krashen is going to speak. But in the evenings, we should be able to do a little live broadcast and answer some questions. Getting good resources for native speakers to read stuff they're interested in. I talk to English teachers of English speakers, how they read and engage with kids. It's a totally different, I agree, it's a totally different teaching skill set to teach. You're basically teaching first language classes, so that Spanish is their first language. And what we find generally is that those native speakers aren't great at reading, and that at writing, and that they need more reading to get to writing. You have to be literate. You have to be able to read in your first language before you can write in your first language. Anything else? I love that we have some people here answering questions, or asking questions, so that I can answer them. I feel very excited that the software works. I saw Tim Ferriss do a live stream, and no one else had the software yet. And then now that it's available for everyone, I'm really excited to be able to use it. It's faster and easier than a webinar if people join and ask questions, and free. Okay. All right, so if there are no more questions, if you are seeing this live stream later, please go ahead and in the comments right down there, go ahead and ask questions, and we'll address them next week. And also, probably right up there, see that like button right there? If you could go like the Fluency Fast page, I'd love that. And thank you. And I'm going to turn this around so you can see what I'm seeing in Barcelona right now, and I'm going to go out and walk on the beach until the sun goes down. Tim Ferriss, I agree. He's a little crazy, but he's got some great stuff, and he's really been doing a lot on the podcast lately. If you haven't listened to his podcast, I would recommend those. But that's just from a business perspective. He's when you're trying to start things like that. Carmen, I'm pretty new to TPRS. I will be attending IFLT 16, but only could register for experience. Do you think it can work for me? Carmen, can you come early and come to a Fluency Fast class? If you come to beginning, I'm assuming you teach Spanish, but if that's not right, correct me. But if you could come to the beginning Mandarin class, you would see beginning to end. You would see how we do beginning. Experienced is for people who have already done the beginning track or have already been teaching. And so they know the basics, and without the basics, it's going to feel like you're a little lost. So I would do two things. If you can come early, the 16th, 17th, and 18th, Linda Lee is teaching beginning Mandarin. That's what Spanish. You teach Spanish. That's what I'd recommend, is that you go to that, and then you can go through, okay, what does day one look like? How do you backward plan? Like the very, very basics of what really happens in a class. That's what I'd recommend. If you can do that, then when you go into to IFLTs, IFLT is the beginning track, is for people who have never had TPRS before and need those kinds of basics. They need the demo, they need to know what it's really supposed to look like. And then experienced is, if you already know this, then here's some other things that you can add. You can add on movie talk, you can add on some reading things, you can add on personalization, but you need the basics first. So I'm not the best person to answer the question about whether or not that's going to work for you or not, but I'd recommend two things. I would go to the beginning Mandarin class if you can swing it. If you can't, come on Monday and go to 2 hours of every class. It's not the best option if you're skipping beginning, but 2 hours of every class. So it's 2 hours of beginning Spanish, 2 hours of beginning Mandarin, 2 hours of advanced Spanish, 2 hours of advanced French, and then Dr. Krashen speaks on Monday night. So it gives you a little bit of background. That would be what I'd recommend. The best thing would be beginning Mandarin. But second, if you can't, whether or not you can, I would find a mentor, someone who can walk you through things at IFLT. I can't go early. So you're reading the Green Bible. There are also some YouTube videos of classes. Start on the Facebook page, IFLT NTPRS CI Teaching, and from there, yeah, I agree with you, Jason. And from there, you may be able to do get a better idea of it. Jason says if you can do a Blaine Ray or some other workshop, I think experience would be a good fit. So maybe earlier in the summer, if you could do a 2-day workshop in a different city, maybe closer to you, and then go to IFLT, that would be a good option. I think if this is how you're doing it, you read a lot about TPRS and you go to experience at IFLT, I'd recommend that you find a mentor, someone who you can work with, who can help you. You're going to miss some of the basics. And I'd also do coaching. Go into a coaching room at IFLT so that after you've seen it, that you can get some basic coaching on how to do circling and how to ask questions and how to give lots and lots of comprehensible input. But you're gonna want to ask a lot of questions about how to get started. So hopefully, I did a Blaine Ray workshop and then signed up for beginning, and I switched to experience. I didn't need to be retaught on circling and other basics. That's a really good point. If you can do the 2-day workshop with someone else, that you should be okay. Carmen, where do you live? Wherever you live, if you can find a workshop nearby. Blaine has a new website. It is tprsbooks.com. .org. Sorry, tprsbooks.org. And there you can find the workshop schedule, and maybe there'll be something closer to you. All right. Anybody have any other questions? Thanks for joining us, Carmen. There are DVDs of Blaine Ray's other workshops. They are on that same website, tprsbooks.org. And also, if you can't get to those Fluency Fast classes, we've videotaped a lot of them. The beginning Mandarin classes on fluencyfast.com. You can buy that and watch the whole thing and how a class works. All the classes that we've done, we've videotaped some of them. Spanish, French, Arabic, German. Maria, did you have a question? Oh, it's so nice to see you all here. I will be back next week and doing a broadcast from Istanbul, which is right on the Bosphorus, so at least there's water, although it's not quite as pretty as what I'm looking at right now. So before we finish, I'm going to turn you around so you can see the view I have of this beautiful Mediterranean Sea. Jason, how do Fluency Fast classes get started around the country? I don't understand the question. I will check the DVD. Thank you so much. Excellent, Carmen. How do Fluency Fast classes get started? You mean how do you bring a Fluency Fast teacher to you, or how? Thanks. I'm just excited everything worked. I was just testing the software, so thank you, Maria. Jason, I don't understand. How do Fluency Fast classes get started around the country? You're wanting to go to one, or are you wanting to start one, or are you wanting to teach one? If you're looking to bring someone to you, it depends on what part of the country you're in. We have Fluency Fast teachers here and there, people who've been trained. We did yes, the Fluency Fast videos and classes, yes, absolutely. They only model TPRS. They don't model anything else. We do comprehensible input and TPR storytelling, and that is it. And that's what Fluency Fast does. Nothing that is outside of those parameters at all. Oh, how do you get a Fluency Fast teacher in an area? So we have Fluency Fast teachers who have done the Fluency Fast teacher training. So if they do that, there are two options from there. You can start your own classes, and you can do a class and say that you've been Fluency Fast trained. Or you can try and work with us. And working with us means that we promote you a little bit, but you do most of your own promotion, and we give you all the support that you need to be able to start. So beginning Spanish would be, we have a curriculum, we have resources, we have books, we have CDs, and then basically get you started. And so as you get started, you just, you're trying to help Fluency Fast get bigger, you're trying to offer classes in your area, and you're using us to try and make you a stronger Fluency Fast teacher. But first, there's the Fluency Fast teacher training, and that is basically you have to go to one of the conferences, IFLT or NTPRS, in tandem with that. So in Chattanooga, we have 3 days of language classes. You would go to as many of those classes as you can so that you've observed them. And then you would go to IFLT to do all the training. And then after that, you work with me to get yourself started on our website and classes listed and things like that. Just the logistics of getting things started. So it works to our advantage because we get more teachers who are working for us. It works to your advantage because you're not trying to start everything all by yourself, which just the startup part is pretty hard. What we try to discourage is people who are going to take our training and then start their own businesses and compete with us, because there's no real advantage to us trying to do it that way. But we're not trying to take money from you. We just want you to help us. So you take all the money from the class and you pay us for the materials, and that's our deal at this point. It may change as we go further, but if you can get people in your class, we do all the logistics for you, but you keep the money from the class. So it's not a financial arrangement that works for us very well, but we get more teachers and we get more classes, which is exactly what that's my goal. I want more people out there teaching Fluency Fast classes. So just come to us and we'll help get you trained. When does the Fluency Fast teacher training happen? The Fluency Fast teacher training is during our language classes that are part of whatever pre-conference we do. Pre-conference before IFLT or pre-conference before NTPRS. It's really small this year, so if you're really honestly interested and you're coming to Fluency Fast prior to IFLT, it's real hard to get good training as a Fluency Fast teacher unless you can get a lot of one-on-one time. And so you basically come as an apprentice, you take our classes, and then you'd have to go to IFLT, and then we will help you out after that. Advanced French, Fluency Fast, and then IFLT. Okay, well, you got to contact me off list, and I can talk to you after I get back from Turkey, which is on the 20th of June. I can't get to a conference and plan to do a Fluency Fast class this summer instead. Thanks. Kristen, I'm sorry, I missed the question. When does the Fluency Fast teacher training happen? We're not in the New York City metro area, but we could be. So bring us out there and we'll come. Kristen, what is what you thought? I can't get to a conference and plan to do Fluency Fast. Can you come to Chattanooga to do the 3-day class in Chattanooga before IFLT? If you can, that's the best place, because there's 4 different teachers so that you can work with as many possible teachers as you can. But when we're teaching, we're like, it's so much work that there's not a lot of one-on-one time. So you have to do it in tandem with IFLT or with NTPRS, because there you can get really the deep training that you need to be able to teach. And it's all the same presenters, so we know that you'll get really quality training there. And then during the class, you see the example of what the steps are to be able to do a class, how to create a curriculum. There's some differences in teaching adults and high school or kids. Teaching adults just requires some changes, some adaptations, and so I can show you how to do that. Sorry, Kristen, I don't think I answered your question. If you want to post it here later, and hold on. It uses TPRS. No conference for me this summer. I used to use TPRS 10 years ago, so I just want a refresher. Oh, great. Of course. No. Yeah, our online videos and our Fluency Fast was originally started by me and Blaine Ray, and so it was completely TPRS. It still is completely TPRS. The teachers that we have are the ones who I have seen teach and I think are amazing. So I always say that, like, it's funny that this is how it works, but I am the least talented teacher in our company. And the reason is because I do the hiring. And so why would I hire somebody who's not as good as me? So I hire people who are better than me, and then I get great teachers. And so I keep kind of moving myself down the totem pole, because I'm so lucky that we have such talented teachers. So that's what I look for in people who want to be trained with Fluency Fast. Is like, I would love to have lots of people doing it, but if you want to teach for us, not just start your own class, if you want to teach for us, you've got to be really good. You've got to be better than me, which isn't that hard. Anybody can do what I do. But there are some, like, just some great teachers that we are lucky enough to work with. Linda Lee, Jason Fritz, and now Darcy Pippins has started teaching. It's true. Thank you. Darcy Pippins has started teaching in Oklahoma, and I picked her. I asked her if she would teach for us, and she started classes, and then she became the Southwest Colt Teacher of the Year, and potentially could be the ACTFL Teacher of the Year. We have some really good candidates going to ACTFL this year, so but fingers crossed that it'll be one of our TPRS teachers. Any other questions? I don't feel like I answered a lot of questions right just now, so I'm happy to do this again. If there are enough questions in the comments after this video, when it goes live to begin with, and then afterwards it's just a recording, and anybody who wants to watch it can. I'll go delete all the ones that didn't work to begin with. So if you have more questions, go ahead and ask them, and we'll answer them next week when we're in Istanbul. Have a great night, day. What time is it? Have a great day, everybody. I'm going to turn this around, and so you can enjoy the view, and then I'm going to turn it off. Thank you.